Do you think you can't travel the world on a budget? Well, think again. I'm going to review 7 different destinations, some of which I've been to, and one at the end I really want to go to, all at amazing prices, and here's why. And first up, believe it or not, is London. I know it's a bit pricey, but watch this to find out why it's sometimes worth it. So let's talk about what you can do while you're here. And if you're coming from America, it's a great base to see the rest of Europe from, which you can see in my other videos. So let's start talking about accommodation. So what I normally do is pick a couple of hotels, one for a couple, one for a family. This time I think I found it all in one hotel. It's in Shoreditch. It's £154 for a twin room, which is perfectly adequate, and £266 for a family room. Now the family room's even got a kitchen. Boom, you can save a couple of quid and at least cook your breakfast. About 60 quid a head for a weekend. For a couple, 75 quid a head for a weekend. That's already starting to look quite reasonable because Shoreditch is a great location. It's just into the East End. It's walking distance from Brick Lane, which is where you will get the best Indian restaurants in the world, outside of India, of course. And yeah, I love it down there. You're not far from Docklands, so much you can see and do, and you're still within almost walking distance from central London and the West End. Now, the other thing I really love about London is there is so much you can do for nothing. I go there with the kids all the time. Let's face it, we're only going to go for 2 days. You've got the British Museum. Why not see the Parthenon sculptures or the Elgin marbles, whatever you want to call them? Especially if you've gone to Athens, like in my other video, you've seen the lot. And it's free to get in. Now, when I was in Athens, it was €20 just to get into the Acropolis Museum, which, don't get me wrong, worth every penny, but you can get it in London for free. The Natural History Museum's fantastic. The only thing is, on a weekend, it is absolutely crackers. However, you just walk in, see the big dinosaur, walk out. Now, there's so many other little things you can do. There is still an original TARDIS by one of the tube stations. I'll let you find that one, but we went there last time. Another great spot to go is Covent Garden. There's street entertainers at both ends of the market. You can watch them. You don't have to give them any money if you're trying to save a quid or two. Another great thing to do in London. You've got to go and see Buck House, see where the king lives. Now, as you're walking back from there, there's the Birdcage Walk, which has got all sorts of animal feeders, and it's basically full of exotic birds. What the hell are they doing there? There's a story that a few got let loose, then more and more went there. It's like going to a zoo, and it's free. So far we've got 2 museums and a free zoo. Then, of course, you can walk under the Thames, which is quite convenient when you're already in the East End. That's well worth doing. You start in Greenwich and you come out in Canary Wharf. Why you would want to go to Canary Wharf, I don't know. Plenty to see in Greenwich. You can see the Cutty Sark from outside without paying to get in. The Royal Observatory's free to get into. You're getting the picture, aren't you? Especially if it's your first time. Now, everyone likes a view. Now, you can go up the Shard. Bang. That's a lot of money. If you pre-book, the bookings come out on a Monday, go to the Sky Garden. You can see the Shard from there. It's just as nice. If you can't be bothered to book, go to the garden at 120 Fenchurch Street. You're overlooking the walkie-talkie. It's still high up. It's got a garden at the top. Don't drink in the bar, though, because it's expensive. I think that's enough for 2 days. Even London has Wetherspoons if you want to drink. Theatreland. Now, that's not a bad one. Again, if you pre-plan, you can always get a West End show cheap. The last show we went to see in London was Les Mis. I mean, it's the biggest, it's the best, it's unbelievable. We got seats for that for a tenner a head on Today Tix. Look it up, have a go. There you have it, London. If you haven't been before, check it out. If you have been before and thought it was a rip-off, plan properly and check it out. Now, next up is a city that is fast becoming a favourite of mine, Bilbao. It's a city of art and culture and plenty to do. During the peak season, it's not the cheapest place to go, but it's still quite reasonable. It's only 2 hours flight from the UK. I'm not going to delve into that too much, but you can get flights with Welling Air from about £50 a head, and we found some great hotels from about the same price, £50 per night. So for 2 people, that would be £50 each for flights, £150 for a hotel. That would kick in as £125 each. It's not bad, is it, for 3 nights away? Now, if you go in the shoulder season, that's sort of like September to late March, you will get them prices. Outside that season, it's a little bit dearer. But let's talk about what there is to do there and what makes it reasonable value. And if you stay till the end, there's one tip you can't miss. Now, I would say start with the Guggenheim. You don't have to go inside. You can marvel at the puppy outside. Don't do what we did, go when they're changing the flowers, or the massive spider, Mama. But let's face it, it's only £12 to go in, and there's some great stuff in there. There's some Warhol. I believe the Yoshimoto Nara exhibition's still on. It's well worth a trip. You'll probably spend the morning there. 12 quid, it's not bad, is it? And you won't want to miss going into Casco Viejo. Probably want to go there twice. It's great during the day. There's some lovely cathedrals to see. They're free to look at. And at night, the whole scene is just alive. You've got some great bars, and of course you've got pinchos. Little appetizers, anywhere from £1 to £3, washed down with a pint of great Spanish beer or wine. And there's some great meals there. We found a taster menu for €50. You don't have to spend that much. There's plenty of other places to eat. Now, I would also recommend going up the Archanda funicular. Well worth it, not too expensive. I'll tell you more about how to save money on that later. You go up to the top of the mountain, you have a great view. There's a couple of nice bars up there and restaurants. Great way to spend an afternoon if it's sunny. And the next day I'd probably head out to Getxo. See, the T and the X are supposed to make a ch sound, but I never get my head around it. And go to the Vizcaya Transporter Bridge. It is amazing. You'd be surprised at the cost of going over on the gondola. I'll tell you more about that later. But me and Suin chose to walk over the top because she knows I'm scared of heights these days because I'm getting old. You've got some great foodie markets. There's the Mercado de la Beira. I think I've said that right. It's great places to try food. You might even want to buy a few goodies to take home. Certainly worth a bit of your time. But the real thing there is the vibe, especially at night. When we were there, people were just dancing in the street. They were playing guitars. It was just a great place to be. And of course there's a massive river flowing through it. You can just walk along and chill. Now here's the real thing that makes it budget friendly. I found the actual price of doing most things was certainly cheaper than the UK. However, the transit card, the Barrick card, you buy one at the airport, and I couldn't believe it. We only put €15 on ours, and there was 3 of us travelling, all 3 of you using the same card. And some of the trips were as low as 50 cents. Now, 2 of the trips were on what you would call tourist attractions. The funicular railway, 50 cents each way. I know, it's mad. We paid €12 for something similar in Athens. And the transporter bridge, if you go across in the gondola, you only pay in the 50 cents rate. I think we've still got €6 left on ours, and 3 of us used it for the whole weekend. Top tip. That really keeps the price down. You're talking €5 a day for 3 people. It works out less than €2 a day for all your transport needs. I mean, it certainly makes it cheaper. So you've had a holiday for 125. You spent as much or as little as you want on some world-class attractions, and it's cost you €2 a day to get round. It's a thumbs up from me. Well, I'll definitely go there again. Boom, it's fantastic. So, where to next? Well, another place that's becoming a fast favourite of mine is Athens. Athens, the city where ancient history meets modern bustling life. And it's great all year round. And it's reasonably priced. Let me show you how. Well, this one's quite easy for me because I've done it quite recently. So I'll walk you through the process. I find Wizz Air are very good, and because I've got the Wizz Air discount where you save a tenner per person per direction, I'm saving nearly 40 quid on flights, and it's coming in at £76. Now, accommodation, a lot of people say don't stay in Ammonia. We did, and it wasn't too bad. I've just had a quick look in Expedia, and you can get the same hotel we used for 81. Some of them are as low as 66. So that's pretty damn good. I personally would stay in the Pergamos again because it's only a short hop to the tube, and it's not as bad as people make out, and there's a really cool kebab house next door. Now, things to do, if you go between October and March, some attractions are half price, like the Acropolis is only €10 as opposed to 20, so that's a big win. We went in December and the temperature was in the 20s, and I think it's still quite pleasant right through to April when it starts to get warmer. So I would definitely cram it in between October and April. Eating out is pretty damn good. You can get a gyros virtually anywhere for less than €5, and we found some great places to eat for less than €15 a head, and one of them was with a view of the Acropolis at night on an open air terrace. What else would you want? So pulling it all together, the flights with my Wizz Air discount are 76 and the hotel is 81, which makes 157. Now, I've just banged it into Expedia, and as a package it comes in at 165. Now, don't forget, with a package you get atoll protection. So I personally would do it with the package, And bear in mind, if you weren't a Wizz Air member, it would cost you 197. For 2 people, that's less than £100. It's got to be a winner. Well, Athens was fantastic. Just wish you could get gyros back here for about €4. Unfortunately, you can't. So next up's another place that I'm quite fond of, and it's great any time of the year, Krakow. Let's go to Krakow. Stunning architecture, amazing history, great food. And it's perfect for February half term, which can be a bit of a challenge. How did we do it? How much did it cost? Stick around to the end and we'll tell you how. Again, we've actually booked this because me and Suin have been to Krakow, the wife hasn't. So we thought we'd take her, and I nailed it before Christmas down to a good price. Now, how do I do this? Well, first of all, I go into Google Flights and I find the cheapest day to fly. In this instance, it worked out as Luton, which is a shame if you live up north, but when you're talking a difference of over £200 a head, it's worth driving a couple of extra miles. Once I'm armed with those dates, I bang them into Expedia and see what it comes up with for accommodation. In this instance, we've ended up in the Daniel Griffin Apart Hotel by Artery Hotels. I've picked this because what I find with Krakow is triple rooms aren't that common, and there's 3 of us. So the Apart Hotels give you that little bit more option. Now, if I hadn't been there before, I'd be looking on the map and looking at location. This is just on the outskirts of Planty Park. Planty Park is a circular tree line around the centre of the old town where most of the activity is. It just so happens it's just around the corner from a hotel we stayed in last time we went, so we know the area. It is cracking. It's really close to a tram line for getting out to other places and walking distance from everything else. And that's important on a holiday, the location. I know from experience you can get into this on public transport from the airport, so no Ubers, and it's walking distance from most of the pickup points. Now, Krakow is full of amazing things to do without spending a fortune. You've got the Wawel Castle, you just got taking in the vibe. It's the oldest market square in Europe and the biggest. You've got the food, the pierogi's amazing. You've got to try them at least once, but you've also got some more up-to-date stuff like Hard Rock Cafe. Things to do, you've got the Oskar Schindler factory, that's amazing. You've got the Jewish district, the food there is unbelievable. It really is like walking back to late 1930s Poland. And of course, if you're up for it, there's the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum. We've done it before, but because the wife hasn't done it, we're going to do it again. If you're worried it's going to be too upsetting, it's moving, but I wouldn't say it's overly upsetting, or maybe I'm just hard-hearted. Suin was 15 when we did it last time, but it was something she really wanted to do, and she didn't come away from it upset. Maybe she's hard as well, I don't know. I think it's something everyone should do at least once in their life if they get the chance. So let's break it down. I haven't got the footage of me booking this because I've already booked it, but I can tell you the whole package came in at £281, so that works out as £74 a person. That's unbelievable. Bear in mind this is half term. I mean, half term, it's always going to take your pants down then. But we booked this back in November. I've got a sneaky feeling it'll be a little bit more expensive now. So again, this is why I've always said, keep a notebook. Every time you find something you like the sound of, jot down the date you found it and jot down the date. You'll get a feel for what sort of time period you need to be looking at. I'll definitely put Krakow on your list. We can't wait to go back. Now the next one up is somewhere people normally think is expensive. Right, let's start with flights. We got a cracking deal with Ryanair for £30 each. That's flying out on a Saturday, coming back on a Monday, and I think they're available right through till March. That's proof that booking a bit in advance is worth doing. Booking too far in advance, you may pay through the nose. Unfortunately for those of you that are north of London, it's considerably more flying out of Manchester and such places, so in this case we elected to go from London. Now for accommodation, because I've got an early flight, we looked at various options. It's not the cheapest city, but unbelievably there's a converted jumbo jet called Jumbo Stay right at the end of the runway for 2 nights, room for 3 of us, £140. It's something with a difference, and I'm sure the kids will love it. Now there's no point going all that way and spending a fortune on stuff to do. There's so many affordable things to do in Stockholm. Yes, it's a city that's famous for being a bit expensive, but the metro stations are described as the longest art gallery in the world. Each one is a work of art in its own right. You can ride the metro for 90 minutes for next to nothing. Then there's Gamla Stan, the old town. Obviously there's things you can pay to do in there, but you can just wander around and soak up the vibe. Food markets are great and you can pick up snacks for under a tenner. And like most capital cities, there's always a free walking tour you can hop onto. I had a quick look on Viator 5 minutes ago. There's lots of downloadable ones you can do yourself. We're only going for 2 days. The main reason we're going is to look at the underground and its artworks. Doesn't have to be expensive. So there you have it. The flights are £30 each. The accommodation for 3 people for 2 nights is £140. That's a total of £230. Divided by 3, £76 each for a reasonable length break in a capital city. We're getting there early enough, so we're going to get nearly 2 days there. Well worth it. Could you plan a trip for less? You probably have. I know I have. Comment below and let me know. So you know what? After researching this, I've actually booked it. So me, Suin, and the one that will not be on camera.
I'll always be on camera all the time because I like camera.
Are off to Stockholm first week of February. Are you looking forward to it?
Hell yeah, can't wait.
Are you looking forward to doing it on one of my tight ass budgets?
You're always on a tight budget, so it'll be no different. But minus the booze this time.
And I'm sure there'll be a video to come up. Yeah, there might not be much booze because it's supposed to be expensive there. No, I wouldn't say she's excited.
I am very excited.
Well, those of you that have been watching will have twigged that these are rehashed versions of videos I've done before. Sorry, but work is hell and I'm really struggling to get it all in. However, this next one isn't so much about the destination, but as about the technique I use for booking them. See if you can guess where it is before it gets to it. But anyway, it does show that you can get a good holiday this side of £100. Well, first of all, I went on Google Flights, didn't find much that I knew about, so I went to Wizz Air. And I banged the search in and it came up with a flight to this mystery place for £38.93 each. Sounding good. That is with the Wizz Air discount. I then went to Expedia and I found a hotel, 3-star. You can see the video going past, it looks lovely, but you don't know where it is. That is £54. Pretty good. Add the two together, it comes in at £131.98 for 2 people, which is £65.93. Now, I've pulled the price of this down a bit because I'm a Wizz Air Club member. It works out as £40, so if 2 of you are going, you would get it back on this one trip. So you could add £40 to that. That would still only make it £85. If you didn't think you were going to fly very often, you could go to Expedia, book it as a package, and it comes in at £80. Now, to surprise you even more, I'm doing this one from Birmingham, not from London like I normally do, because I always say London's cheaper. And yeah, it just shows in less than 5 minutes, in fact what we're up to now, 1 minute 28, you can find a cheap holiday. Now why am I doing this video this week? I'm going to be honest, I had another video planned, but work has been an absolute dog this week, so I really need a break. So I was driving home and I thought, God, I've got to get a video out, it's Thursday, so I have. So this is what you're getting. I'm sorry if it's a bit lousy, but it's chucked together in less than 10 minutes, and in which time I've put my dinner on, found a holiday and made a YouTube video. Go me. So where is it? It's Bucharest. Not the most glamorous of locations, a couple of hours flight away, but things are cheap when you get there. The hotel's in the city centre. It's 3-star, which in Bucharest probably means it's warm and dry. And there's a fair bit to do in the city. I'm only going for 2 nights, but 2 nights holiday, 65 quid a head, boom. Why else go to Romania? Well, you've got the Bran Castle. If you're into wildlife, there's a brilliant bear sanctuary. There's a lot you can do. If I decide to do this, I'll tell you all about what I managed to squeeze into 2 days. The flight times are good. You get there early afternoon. You don't have to leave till about lunchtime on the last day. I'm only going for 2 nights, so I get a full day, an afternoon and a morning. I think I'd come back feeling really refreshed. Right, so the next one's up is a bit special. As you can see, all the ones I've done so far have been city breaks, but as you know, I can also find some great week-long breaks. We did Niagara Falls in New York for just £350 a person. They are out there. So sit back and enjoy the thought of going to Thailand. It's not as expensive as you think. But before I do go there, I've definitely got to go to Romania to look at those bears. So why am I doing Thailand? Well, somebody at work accused me of only doing Europe because everyone can find a holiday in Europe for under £100. I don't think you can, pal, but anyway. Anyone can, as long as you apply a decent system, and you've seen the results, you've seen me actually go to these places. So I thought I'd try somewhere a bit further afield because, you know, summer's coming up and I'm getting sick of seeing the adverts on the telly telling me where I could go if I had lots of money. Well, I haven't, so let's see where we can go. And if you stay till the end, there's a little surprise as to what else you can do while you're there. So I did my normal trick going into Google Flights and I came up with some options as low as £400 return. And I thought, yeah, let's actually use a decent flight. And it came up with Oman Air at 553. Now I know when I've been looking at other destinations I have seen cheaper than that, but this is just purely for the exercise. Obviously, as I've always said, keep a notebook. You'll have a rough idea of what things will be. Off the top of my head, I could usually quote quite a few prices, give or take 50 quid these days. So anyway, came up with Oman Air for 2 weeks, 553. Got a half decent baggage allowance. They're an airline you've heard of, they're a flag carrier. They won't be far wrong, will they? So, we then go to Expedia and see what we can come up with. Now, for Bangkok, you've got options there where you can actually get somewhere for 2 weeks for 150 quid. I have to have a pool. If I'm going away for 2 weeks, I want to go for a swim when I feel like a swim rather than wander down to the sea and get eaten by some horrible tropical big fish. So the cheapest option was £130 each, 260 altogether. Now, there's a reason for that, which I'll explain later. However, going a little bit further up the food chain, you can get a hotel with a rooftop pool. I love a rooftop pool for 360, which is 180 each. Bang. And as you can see from the pictures, they're none too shabby. Obviously, you can go further and further up the chain, but you're staying in a city, you don't want anything too fancy because you're going to be out and about exploring. And there is so much to do there. There's elephant sanctuaries, there's all the temples, there's the nightlife. Taxis are cheap, car hire is cheap, you can take off into the countryside. I think it'd be a pretty amazing place. So, what's the little extra? Well, me being me, decided to see what else you can do while you're there, because it seems a shame to go halfway around the world and only go to one country. So I had a quick look at Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, and AirAsia are doing a return for £89. Now this will explain why I would probably lean towards the cheaper hotel, because I would literally, for the time I go to Vietnam, I would use it for storage. Now, if you think Thailand's cheap, we were coming up with options in Vietnam for a 3-night break from as low as £30–40 for 3 nights. But let's get real, you're on holiday, you want to treat yourself. And we found a half-decent hotel at 160, so that's £80 each. Obviously, if you're in a group of 4, that would come down a bit. However, why don't we, since we've stayed in a mediocre hotel in Bangkok, why don't we push the boat out? Just take a look at some of these names. Hyatt, Hilton. You're talking between £350 and £600 for a 3-night break. Why not spoil yourself? So let's drill it all down. If you just went to Thailand with Air Oman and stayed in a reasonable hotel with a pool, you would be looking at £683 each for 2 weeks in June. I think that's pretty damn reasonable. If you go up a level and stay in a place with a rooftop pool, that goes up by a massive 50 quid, so you're still only talking 723. If you decided to bolt on the trip to Ho Chi Minh with the basic hotel, 883. Top of the range hotel, well, not top of the range, there are some stupid prices, but you know, you could go for a 5-star and still come in at below £1,000 each. Boom. When you consider how many nights you're away, that is probably as cheap as, well, let's think about London, shall we? You would do well to get a hotel for £60 a night for 2 of you. It wouldn't be very nice, it certainly wouldn't have a pool. That would come in at nearly £1,000. A hotel worth having, you would be looking at £100 a night for 14 nights. That's £1,400. That's about the same price as the lowest option going to Bangkok for 2 weeks. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? So get it booked. So there you have it, 7 destinations, and they're all at a reasonable price. I've just worked it out that if you were to go to all 7, you would get 2 weeks in Thailand and 6 other locations. Based on an average cost of £90 a holiday, you could have 7 holidays for £1,240 a head. Now, I don't know about you, I have paid that for 1 holiday before now. So it is definitely worth shopping around and definitely worth subscribing to the channel. Not because I need the subscribers, because I want to give you guys some value. Now with that in mind, why don't you tell me where you would like me to research? Let's get a conversation going and let's enjoy travelling while we're young. Well, while you're young. I'm not that young anymore, but hey, let's enjoy the travel.